first. Okay, I believe all of you can view the screen I'm sharing, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So today we'll be continuing. We'll try to again have an understanding in a better way why multiplexer can be used as a full adder, or how we can implement any circuit using a multiplexer. So like the way I said, a full adder basically constitutes of three individual inputs. Let's have a beginning from the start. So a full adder, if this block represents a full adder, it has three inputs A, B, C in, and then there is a value that is coming out. There are two outputs of a full adder. One is the sum value, one is the carry value. So these are basically three input and a two output circuit. Now, if we want to implement this circuit, and we know there is a truth table that it needs to follow, we already know this truth table. Let me again draw that. 0 1 0 0 1 1 1 0 0 1 0 1 1 1 0 and 1 1 1. So the way the sum gets repeated is 0 1 1 0 and 1 0 0 1, and the carry gets repeated as, or the output of the carry comes out as 0 0 0 1, then 0 1 1 and 1. So this is the sum part and the carry part. So basically, if someone sees the circuit, someone sees these circuits, how we will identify this one as a full adder? By checking the sum part, checking the carry part, checking the input to output relation, checking all the values or all the combinations of A, B and C. Someone can identify that this circuit is a full adder circuit. But if I try to implement a multiplexer to be behaving like a full adder, what are the things that I need to consider? What are the things that I need to take into account when implementing the circuit that I have drawn in the left hand side to be implemented by using a multiplexer? Say multiplexer is a single output circuit, and you can see that a adder circuit can produce two outputs. One is sum, one is the carry. So if a multiplexer is having one single output, then one single multiplexer is not enough for representation of a full adder circuit. Why? Because obvious reasons. It has two in outputs, it has one output. So what we can do, we can instead of using one multiplexer, we can use two multiplexers, and we can use them to generate the sum part and the carry part itself. So I am just taking today's approach from different point of view. So if these two are the multiplexers, how can we believe that these two will be working like an full adder? How can someone believe that this is not a multiplexer but rather a full adder? Someone can believe if he finds out that the behavior of the output that are coming exactly matches with the input of a full adder circuit. So let's say this is a block of circuit. A person who is viewing the circuit doesn't know what is there within inside of this particular box that I have drawn. And at the input of the box, there are three values that are going. One is A, one is B, another one is C in, and at the output we are getting s and carry or sum or the carry that is coming out. But the person who is viewing the circuit or the person who is testing the circuit do not know or does not know what the inside architecture of this particular block is, whether it's a full adder, whether it's a half adder, whether it's a subtractor, whether it's a decoder, whether it's a multiplexer. He does not know. Once he provides the sufficient input, once he provides possible combinations of the input at the input of this full block of circuit, what he or she will find is this sum is getting generated based on this truth table, and the carry gets generated based on the truth table that is represented here. Now, if I don't know what is inside the block of the circuit that we have made to generate this total block of logic design, then I'll find out that whatever the input, whatever is inside, that must be a full adder circuit, because the input to output relation exactly matches with the truth table of a full adder. That must be a full adder circuit at least. It should not be a full subtractor because it does not matches with the output. It should not be a multiplexer because the outputs are not like multiplexer, but rather its outputs are matching the input to output relationship of a full adder circuit. Okay, so this way, if someone finds out that
Sir, someone want to join, but they
okay,
can't.
it's already 10 minutes late. Okay, 3, 4. Okay, no more request. Okay, so to implement that, I again deleted all those or discarded all those things that I had written. So the main thing is that if a multiplexer can replicate the input output relation of a full adder circuit, then no one will be calling that circuit as a multiplexer, but they will all be calling it as a full adder circuit, right? So that's the way we will be implementing. Like the way I can see that you are having 79 out of, I mean, except me, 78 people who are present in this meeting. And if I take, say, Deep Shagor is there in our meeting or in our class, and along with him, there is Deepayan. So, say Deepsagar and Deepayan, they are standing in a road, and one stranger comes. If I ask the stranger, please find out the names of those two persons who are standing beside. What the stranger will do? The stranger will basically try to ask the name of Deepsagar and Deepayan. So when he asks the name to Deepsagar, he says, "My name is Deepsagar Boral." And when he asks name to Deepayan, the Deepayan says that my name is Deepayan Karmakar. So the way the stranger will be replying to me is that, okay, I have known those two persons. They are Deepsagar and they are Deepayan. Okay. Specifically, they can understand who Deepsagar is and who is Deepayan. But in the second case, if I ask some other, like I can see Darshan is there, Darshan is still here in our class. If I ask Darshan to replace Deep Sagar, but ask him or request him so that if any stranger comes and asks his name, he will not tell his name, but rather he will tell that my name is Deep Sagar. Okay. So instead of Deepsagar and Deepayan, now I am letting Darshan and Deepayan to stand beside in the road. And again, I take another stranger and I ask him to find out the names of the persons who are standing there. Okay. So again, the stranger asks, now Darshan and Deepayan are standing. But when asks Darshan, the stranger asks Darshan that what is your name? Then Darshan says that my name is Deepsagar Boral. Whether the stranger will be able to identify that, okay, no, he is not Deepsagar, but rather he is Darshan, he will believe that if there is a person who is standing and he is saying that his name is Deepsagar, that means he must be Deepsagar. Okay, that's the way the person can understand it's not Deepsagar, but rather it's Deepayan because he is saying so. And there is no way he will be telling his name wrongly. There will no way he will be telling lie about his names, right? The same way, the multiplexers can be used to behave like any other circuit, and people will be understanding that this is not a multiplexer, but rather this is a truth table. But the way to implement that, we need to make or we need to obey some constraints. One constraint is that when we are using a multiplexer, that multiplexer must produce the values of the sum and the carry. The multiplexer must produce the sum and the carry by myself. at the output of the circuit, and that carry and the sum value exactly should match with the value of the truth table of a full adder. So these two multiplexers will be producing sum and carry, and that values will be matching with the possible combination of the ABC of a full adder circuit. Another thing is that whatever the multiplexer I am using, their input must be accompanied by only A, B, and C. If the multiplexer is having some different combinations of input or any other values of input apart from A, B, and C, then the multiplexer cannot be considered as a sum, because that sum must be generated based on the input combinations. Like when input combination is 0, 0, 0, then sum will be 0. When the input combination is 0, 0, 1, then sum will be produced as 1, and so on, right? So that input to output relation in a multiplexer must match with the possible combinations of a full adder circuit, right? That's the primary constraints. Another very peculiar thing is that a multiplexer cannot have a 3 input. A multiplexer, we already know that it can be either 2 is to 1, it can be either 4 is to 1, it can be either 8 is to 1, but never a 3 is to 1. Now, you tell me, out of these multiplexers, which one is more closest to the multiplexer, I mean, the full adder circuit's input? A full adder has 3 inputs, and you can see that you can either represent a 2 is to 1 multiplexer or a 4 is to 1 multiplexer or a 8 is to 1 multiplexer to implement the sum part of a full adder. Then which multiplexer should I use?
Sir, 8 is to 1.
No, we will not be
Sir,
using
4
that.
is to 1, sir.
4 is to
Right,
1.
4 is to 1. So we will be going closest and the highest. Closest and highest means 2 is to 1 and both 4 is to 1. Both are closest to 3, right? They both are close to 3, but 2 is less than 3. That means if I use a 2 is to 1 multiplexer, I can never implement 3 of the input signals in a multiplexer. So what I go with? I go with 4. But there is a problem in that when I'm going with 4, then what I'll be providing in the fourth input? 3 input I accompany by means of providing A, B, and C. But what about the fourth input? Not only that, if I am using a 4 is to 1 multiplexer, there is another 2 select lines that are also present. So when I'm using a 4 is to 1 multiplexer, apart from these 4 input lines, there are 2 extra select lines that are there that also need to be accompanied, or that are also need to be provided with some sorts of signal so that the multiplexer can operate properly. So instead of taking this 4, I now have 6 possible inputs to deal on or deal with. I have how many inputs in my hand? Are 3. So with using those 3 inputs, I need to accompany, or we need to provide collaboration of 6 possible inputs in the multiplexer. To do that, what we do, we take the approach of understanding the truth table of a full adder again. What we see? We see that in the truth table, like the last class we had also taken, we can see we'll be finding out which one is changing least amount of times in our truth table. And obviously we'll be able to say,
Sir,
Paul.
Sir, I was saying that in the truth table of the full adder, the output is also 2. Like for a multiplexer, the output is always 1.
That's
But,
why I have designed written 2 flip flops. I mean 2 multiplexers, right? This is number 1. This is number 2. Right. So each one I need to find out. Each one's input I need to find out. Obviously, it will have 6. Another one will have 6. But I am only looking for the sum part at this moment. If I can implement the sum part, then some way I'll be using another multiplexer and we'll be again creating some situation through which I'll be able to accompany the carry part also. But our main priority is to implement at least one part. So we will again look back into the truth table and we see that for these 4 sections, A is having 0 and BC goes on from 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0 and 1, 1. Now for the next part, you can see that BC again goes from 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0 and 1, 1. So it's like BC is repeating their values for the second time there. And again for the next, you can see the repetition occurs. And for the next time, it repetition occurs between these two. And for the fourth time, the repetition occurs between these two. For only value that gets changed is the value of A. So for 0, A equals to 0, BC can have value of 0, 0. For A equals to 1, BC can have value of 0, 0. That's the way we are considering. What we see is one thing very easily that can be matched with in the truth table. Let me just clear out the full screen. So one thing that can be matched with the B, C and the multiplexer that we will be using, you can see that a 4:1 multiplexer. Now we know it's a 4:1 multiplexer. The reason behind is if we take 3 variable, last day we had discussed that if our equation is having 3 variables, then n minus 1 will be the number of select lines. So we can obviously see that 2 should be the select lines, and twice to the power n minus 1 number of input lines. Our case it becomes 4 and exactly matches with the multiplexer that we have drawn here. So it's a 2 select line, 4 input lines. It's a 4:1 multiplexer. So that also matches with the Boolean function that we have understood in the last day. Now once we found out, what we see that our select lines of these multiplexers are 2. There are 2 select lines. One is B, or we will be trying to implement the way that becomes much more easy for us to understand. If we look into the B and C part of the truth table itself, you see that B, C basically changes 4 times: 0, 0, 0, 2, 0, 0, then 0, 1, then 1, 0, then again 1, 1. And for the second case also 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1. So BC basically has 4 possible values. One is 0, 0, one is 0, 1, one is 1, 0, one is 1, 1. So what we do, we take the B and C, we place them in the select line part. Okay, so obviously BC will maintain the inputs of the truth table itself, like the way the truth table shows that BC can have 0, 0. So our BC can have 0, 0. BC can have 0, 1. BC can have 1, 0, and BC can have 1, 1 values. Now if you again remember the actual working function or working principle of a multiplexer, you will find that for possible combinations of BC, if we just write down the multiplexer truth table, for our case, our select lines are B and C. So they can have 4 possible combinations: 0, 1, 1, 0, and 1, 1. You will find that for each one of the possible combination of select lines, we get one input to be going at the output. If our part represented by the output, and then these input lines are represented as D0, then D1, then D2, and D3, then the sum part will be coming out as D0. The D0 will be coming to the sum when BC has a value of 0, 0. D1 will be coming when BC has a value of 0, 1, something like that. Then D2 will come at the output of the multiplexer when BC is 1, 0. That means it's a D2. And D3 will come out when the value is 1, 1. Then D3 value, whatever the value that is given at D3, that value will come at the output. So that's the truth table for a multiplexer. And here we have selected that a select line S0 and S1 has been replaced by B and C. Out of 3 input lines of the full adder, we have taken B and C to be the select line. Then what about this D0, D1, D2, and D3? Because we have already used B and C, we cannot use B and C more in D0, D1, and D3, and D2 and D3. We have to use another variable. Which variable is left now? A is only left for getting provided as an input in our multiplexer. So I need to use some values of A. I don't know whether A bar or A or 0 or 1, whatever the value I'll be taking, but I need to use a value of A uh, in each one of the input. In that case, A, B and C will make the full circuit complete. Then our sum part will be completed. How do I do that? For doing that, we need to again go back looking into the truth table itself. So you know when BC equals to 0, 0, which value is coming at the output? So this D0 will be coming at the output, right? What you find out is when B and C is 0, 0, we try to find out the relation between the values of A with the values of S. We try to find out a relation. In that case, finding out the relation, we'll be able to place the value in place of the D0 itself. Let's try to find out. So B and C becomes 0, 0 in two cases. One is this one, another one is this one. For two cases, BC becomes 0. And if you look at the first case, you will find if B and C is 0, 0, then whatever the value of A is, that is 0, that gets produced at the sum part itself. So if A is 0, then sum also becomes 0. And for the second case, for 0, 0 of BC equals to 0, 0, if A becomes 1, then sum also produces the same value. So we can write down that A becomes S. A is equals to S. And here also A and S are having same values. So if A is 0, S will be 0. If A is S, S will be S. Now, as the sum is following the value of A, so instead of writing this one as D0, I can remove that and I can write down the value A at instead of writing down the value of D0. So instead of writing down D0, I write down the value A. Now find out what happens, or try to find out what is happening when we try to match these two truth table iterations in the multiplexer itself and see whether it's producing the output of the sum proper way or not. If A is 0, if A I have produced 0 at this input, then sum that value will go directly to the sum part and sum will get produced a value of 0. Sum will produce a value of 0. So that A is 0, when A is 0, B is 0, C is 0, let us write down the way the value of A like this. So when BC is 0, if A is 0, what I get the value as a sum is 0. If A is 1, if I have provided A as 1, that value will directly go to the out, creating a value of 1. So here two of the iterations in the 0, but when A equals to 0, sum gets 0. When A equals to 1, sum gets 1. So in that case, you can see the combination of the values that I am getting is either this A0, B0, C0, this A0, B0 and C0 producing a 0 at the sum. So this first iteration gets satisfied. And for providing 1 as a value of A, you can see that if you provide 1 there, that 1 directly goes to the output and produces a value of 1. So when input A is 1 and B and C is 0, 0, then the output comes as 1. That A directly goes to the output following the satisfaction of this truth table. So out of 8 possible combinations of the truth table, 2 are already correct. Then what about the second one? For the second one, again, let us remove those. Let us remove those and try to find out for the second value. So when B and C is having a value of 0 and 1, when B and C is having a value of 0 and 1. So possible combinations, let me just take the another color for better understanding. So when B and C is 0, 1, this is the case when B and C is 0, 1. This is the case when B and C is 0, 1. Let's try to again relate the values of A to the sum part itself. Here you can see A is 0, but sum is 1. That means there is a complementary operation. So we can write down that A bar equals to sum, right? 0 means bar. That means whatever the value of A, that gets complemented to get the sum. For the second case also, you will find when B and C is 0, 1, if A is 1, then sum becomes 0. So there again, there is a complementary operation that is going on. So in that case also, A bar becomes S.